morning, how are you? Well, I'm back on the raspberries again today. I was at home the other evening and I was giving it quite a bit of thought, and I'm not convinced that this is going to have enough drainage in it. It's very, very wet here, as I said in a previous episode, so I thought, well, I need to try and improve that. So I've been over to my local builders merchants and I've been and bought some of this stuff. Basically this is sharp sand. And sharp sand is basically, it's just a coarse rough sand. It's got grit in it, it's got shell in it, it's got fine sand in it, and that's just going to improve the structure of these beds and allow water to drain through. Raspberries don't like having their feet wet, in other words the roots. So before I plant, I'm going to invest in getting this right, because obviously once it's done there's no going back on it unless I restart the whole thing from scratch, and I'm not going to be doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one bed, show you how I do that. I'll continue to get them all done, and then I've got to go and get more mulch because I used it all the other day in here. And then hopefully, what time is it now? 11:15, 1, 2 o'clock, these raspberries are coming and they're going in. Right, okay, so let's open the bag up. Just going to do this one bed here. Incidentally, keep these, they're great for getting rid of weeds and rubbish and things off your allotment, the old rubble sacks. I'm just going to rake it out a little bit. Don't have to go too mad with it. Trusty rake again. I have got a proper rake, I just don't like using it. Right, that's fine. I'm going to get my fork. It's been absolutely tipping it down up here today. Everything's drenched. Luckily not me yet, but I'm just going to, hopefully this is not too wet to do, so I'm just going to basically allow that sand to drop in. And over time, with rainfall, etc., and the worms getting in there amongst it, that sand will just work its way down anyway. Right. You can actually buy a tool to do this. It's one of these things you put in and twist. Quite good if you've got, not a lot of strength in your wrists. I'll see if I can find it and I'll put it on the website. Right, that looks good. In that gravel there's nothing more in there bigger than about 5mm, quarter of an inch, so it's quite fine still. I don't really want it full of rocks, so you don't want ballast, you want sharp sand. Okay, I'm going to crack on and do the other 3 beds, and then I'm going to shoot off and get some mulch, pick up these raspberry canes, and then we'll be back. I've just got back from the manure and mulch dump. I found I've taken it from a different pile this time. One of the telltale signs was this pile was steaming, and that tells me that it's a little bit more advanced in breaking down and it's ready to release all those nutrients that it contains. So I chose that one. It was darker as well, and straight away I knew it was the right stuff, because as soon as I put the shovel in, millions of worms in there and loads of steam coming off of it. So that's the one I'm going to apply over the top once these raspberries go in. And then this one here, this pile, which is a bit further up, I'm going to put that as a finishing top layer, because that's quite fresh, so that can break down over the winter. So great news, they arrived on time. Now I've got 4 different varieties. I've got a winter, well, I will say winter-autumn one, which will bear fruit very late on in the season. I've got another sort of late summer autumn one, so them 2 are going to go that side next to the polytunnel, and then these 2 are summer varieties, So these will be the first ones to crop, and obviously when they're done I can cut them down and then harvest what we've got coming off of them. So the 4 varieties I've got, and these are from a company called scottsplantsdirect.co.uk, and that's all in one word. So what we got? We've got Glen Magna. We've got another one called Cascade, and then over here, I'm just going to tread in the bed, Autumn Bliss and All's Gold, or Fool's Gold. So they're the 4 varieties. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut this wire here. Now with these, you should really soak them for about an hour in water, but I can tell straight away these have only just recently been lifted. The mud on it's still wet, so I'm not too worried, and this soil is pretty damp. It's been raining a lot this morning, so I think they're good to go. So with these, there's a good example sort of there. Can you see that? How these two are joined by this rhizome root, and that's what I was saying in an earlier episode of doing this, that this will just keep going on and on and on and throwing up new canes as it goes. So I've basically used a little hoe, which is over here, just to rake out a drill all the way along, and it's a good 2-3 inches deep. We don't want to plant them that way, alright, because like I say, this will keep growing, so it's going to hit this and it'll just, well, where do I go from there? I want to plant that way and drop that straight in, okay, all the way along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it there, I'm going to lay them all out and get them all in roughly where we are, and then backfill it. So all I'm going to do is get that down like that and backfill up around it. Alright, same with that. And firm them down. They will spring about a bit, but I've got something that I'm going to do a bit later on. Put up some supports and some gardening wire, and that'll allow me to tie it all back. So that's what I'm going to do all the way through. We'll come back when I've done that. Here is a classic example of what I'm on about. I hope you can see that. You see how that root's coming along the bottom? There's your new canes just starting to grow. Little green tip on the end there, look. More shoots coming off of this side of this one as well. And that'll just keep going all the way along, throwing up those new canes. So I'm going to pop this one in. They're all in, 4 different varieties. And then we'll get it mulched over. I'm now attached the gardening wire. I've hammered these posts in. I'll just spin around the back here. I've drilled a hole right through there and out the other side. Get yourself a large drill bit, or a drill bit twice the size of the hole, and just give it a little whiz up in that hole there, just to take off the sharp edge. If you don't do that, it'll take all the plastic off of your garden wire. Okay? The posts, these things, they're only steel, they're just cheap. Get to know your local scrap merchant, always worth doing. And I've driven them into the ground down here by at least 2 foot, so at least 24 inches down in the ground, and they give me a total height of about, I'd say it's about 4 foot. I haven't drilled one at the top here yet because I don't know how tall these canes are going to get. I mean, I've seen canes over the back here that are as tall as me, but we'll know next season. That's it, it's finished. 40 canes, slate raised beds. Well pleased with that. I've got these posts all finished now, put the wires in. So that's really it now. I mean, all I've got to do is just keep an eye on this mulch and just keep topping it up. So it's a job that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I'm really glad that I've got it finished now. Time for a cup of tea and to get home, I think. I've had enough now today. It never ends, does it? There's just always so much to do. I mean, I don't know what you guys are doing on your plots at the moment. I imagine quite a lot of you are flat out digging. That'll be my next job, tackle the main plot, which is just over there, and this bit in here, sort these beds out. So it's a case of dig, dig, dig. But anyway, that's enough from me. We'll see you in the next one. Yeah, happy gardening.